Let me do another 5-minute video quickly. Um, I think that the thing that I'm learning is that it's about doing what comes natural for you. You know, for me, believing in God comes natural to me. I think it's just a natural thing. However, I'm not claiming that it's natural for other people. One thing that I've learned a long time ago is not to sit there and give out a prescription for what's natural for other people or prescribe to other people how they should behave or how they should think or how they should see the world. For some people, not believing in God comes natural to them. It just doesn't make sense to them. However, I don't think that they should sit there and give me a prescription as to how I should think or how I should see things. See, that's the one thing, is prescriptions. Giving out prescriptions is how we should look at things. I've always had a problem with prescribers, with the great pharmacists of the world who are going to prescribe to you how you should see something. See, I used to have a problem, for example, with my sister when she would tell me, she'd take the Bible and she said, well, you have to believe everything in it. You have to accept it. And right off the bat, I said, no, I don't accept it. I mean, some of the stuff is ridiculous if you believe it. If you believe every single thing in here. But that was her prescription for things. That you have to believe everything in it. No, I don't. And then when somebody like Sam Harris comes along and says, well, you have to believe this, otherwise you're not really believing in God, then you're not really a Christian, and then you really don't believe in it. Then he's doing the same thing, even though he's an atheist. You're doing the same thing my sister was doing. She was a believer. You're prescribing to me how I ought to see something. One thing I do not do is run around prescribing to everybody what they ought to do. I don't give out prescriptions to people. I live my life my way, and if other people look at it and say, wow, that's interesting, or I want to follow that, or I want to do what you do, that's your choice. But I don't prescribe things. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not, in one sense of it, I'm not a religious person, because I don't go to church. And I don't think I would ever go to church. I said that to somebody else. They got very upset over that fact. I say, look, I believe in God, but I just am not a church person. They got really, really, really upset over that fact. I think the problem I have with a church, and this is just me, so I'm not telling other people they shouldn't go. If you're a person who goes to church, do it if it feels right for you. But but for me, it just never felt right going to church. I just could never get into it. If I sat down in a church, believe me, I'd have to force myself to sit down. I'd have to force myself to go through listening to all this stuff. And I would be, somebody basically telling me how I should behave. Maybe I'm just too much of a free spirit and too much of a free thinker that I do what I really want to do. I live the way I want to live, and I believe as I want to believe or not believe. I believe what the Constitution says about freedom of religion, which I think very few people really understand that. You should be free to believe as you want to believe or not believe. If you don't want to believe, you should be free to do that too. And that should be protected by law. I think, though, that what happens in our society is it winds up being more than just people's right to believe gets protected. Certain religions get favored. And I think that's not what the Constitution was talking about. That one religion dominates the scene. That's not what the First Amendment is about. But it's not really prescribing a religion. The Constitution and our government does not prescribe a religion. When people say, well, this is a Christian nation. I remember watching this video and this one guy was ranting about that. Oh, this is a Christian nation. No, it's not. It's not a Christian nation. It's not an atheist nation. It's not a Muslim nation. It's not a Jewish nation. It simply is a nation where you have the freedom to be those things by law. However, people, the social part of life is different from the legal part, though they are connected in some ways. And that's a whole different story to kind of get into. But I just want to say that I don't like people forcing things on me. It's just that simple. And I don't try to force things on other people. I'm not somebody out there to prescribe what you should believe. You choose. If your belief came to you by free choice, that's the way it should be. But if it came to you because you're forced to, because people threaten you, they said, look, I'm going to stop being your friend if you don't believe as I believe, or if you don't think. I think one of the things I like is that most of the people who subscribe to me are either agnostic or atheists, which is okay. And there are some people who are believers who subscribe, but I think the majority of people who subscribe to me are agnostic, at least that much. I'm not, I think in some ways I'm a person who I've often said I believe in God because it's true. It's really what I honestly have chosen freely. But I don't feel pressured to believe in God, which I'd like. That's why I don't go to church. I would be turned off by church because I hate this concept of pressure to believe. I just like freedom too much. Maybe that's my thing. Maybe I just like freedom too much.